Why are you here?
Because I need to learn more about myself. I need you to ask me things I don't want to be asked.
Why do you believe I can help you?
Because you are me, and I am you. We know each other better than anyone else.
Why do you believe you need help?
Because I don't feel happy. I feel miserable. I think about suicide. I struggle to find meaning in what I do. I struggle to find meaning in what I don't do. People feel distant. Friends leave, passions fade. Life loses flavor. Every day. And it's not showing any signs of stopping.
Is meaning necessary?
I believe so. What is the point of living if your actions don't have any meaning? For example, I play games because I value their stories, music, how they train my resolve by placing obstacles, and how they encourage me to overcome them. And the reward is always meaningful. Even if only for a short while, it feels like I achieved something.
But isn't the feeling of achievement meaningless in itself? Why do you want to achieve things?
Because I hope by doing it I can leave my imprint upon the world. I feel like this way I can be remembered after I'm gone. I can leave something behind me. Something that can be recognized and valued.
Why do you need to be remembered?
In a way, it makes the fact of existence real. If something can persist after I stop being aware of the world's existence, meaning when I'm dead, then it means my experiences weren't imaginary. It's like I'm no longer here, but the world goes on, so the struggle wasn't pointless.
What if the struggle is pointless and there is no end goal?
Then I would say the creator of our reality has a poor sense of humor.
Are you afraid?
Yes. If there is one thing about my whole existence that I'm sure of, it is the fact that I'm really scared about my future. I don't know where it all leads. I don't know how my actions shape my future, and how my inactions shape my demise. That lack of insight makes me worry a lot, because I don't know what's correct. Someone once said that the true test of any choice is making the same choice again, knowing full well what it might cost. But we don't live in a matrix, so we cannot really have that insight.
Why the uncertainty of the future makes you worry?
Because I don't believe I have enough strength to survive the unknown. When you can prepare, you can always tip the scales just slightly to your favor. It's impossible to prepare for something you don't expect.
And yet you're not preparing for anything anyway. Is it really about the lack of control?
I know I could prepare for some things. I know I can. But then I don't. Why?
You tell me. Why aren't you taking any steps towards fixing your life if you believe you're not happy?
Maybe it's not about surviving the unknown. Maybe it's about not surviving the expected.
Why you lack faith in yourself?
Because I was never independent. Everything I have I owe to someone else. My home, I live with my parents. I went to school because I live in a country with an easy access to education, and I threw it away anyway. Even this, I'm working on this self-interview on a PC that my brother gave me. The internet? My other brother is paying for it. My life doesn't belong to me. If the support stops, my life stops. I have all the opportunities in the world, and I'm not strong enough to pay for any of it.
So why did you decide to go to work and pay for your tablet? Just so you can draw?
Maybe I still wasn't completely dead inside. Maybe I still had some glimpses of hope back then.
So what changed since then? Why did you lose hope?
I don't know.
Answer me.
I can't.
So why didn't you just kill yourself yet?
Because my choice doesn't matter. There is no point in making this decision, because the outcome is already predetermined. Death is inevitable, so I might just stick around and see what happens.
Isn't that hope?
It's more curiosity than hope. I still think life and the world is interesting. The fact of existence is fascinating to me. I still enjoy seeing the beauty of nature or people. I still find comfort in the noises of the forests and oceans. Music still makes me shiver in excitement. I can still focus on my food the same way I always did, and it still tastes great.
This doesn't have anything to do with curiosity. You just enjoy things. Is it possible to enjoy anything if you're hopeless?
Yes?
Why?
This is another question that I find hard to answer, but after giving it some time, I think it is possible because pleasure is different than purpose. Pleasure just makes you feel good in the moment, but it is purpose that fills your existence with hope.
Do you have a purpose?
I'd like to believe so.
Can you define your purpose?
I want to be a source of escapism for other people. I know the world suffers a lot. We struggle with depression, anxiety, shame, lack of meaning. I know I do. And if there is a way for me to put a smile on someone's face, even for a short while, then I think that's what I'd like to do. But I also don't want to give up my own happiness in the process. I don't consider myself a good person. I am not altruistic. There is a selfish reason for my self-imposed purpose. Being a source of comfort reaffirms my own value in the world. Because of that I can feel worthy and needed. Deep down I am still an egotistical asshole.
What's wrong with being egotistical if no one gets hurt?
It puts my honesty into question, who I am really doing it for others or myself.
Why not both?
Good point.
This will be hard. Why do you crave acceptance?
Because I don't believe I was ever truly accepted by anyone. I always struggled with making connections with people. In school I was always the odd one. I had only a handful of friends and all of them went their own ways already, and we're not talking anymore. People often say to be true to yourself, to be comfortable in your own skin, to not put on a mask to fit in, and I still believe that. The problem is, sometimes being unmasked dooms you to solitude. The solitude you might not want.
Do you think it's not possible to be comfortable with yourself and be accepted at the same time?
Not always, no. When it comes to society, some things are predetermined by social standards we have forced upon ourselves. It is possible to live according to your own values, but if the world around you doesn't accept those values, then you're forced to be an outcast, and it's not truly your choice. Outside world will always hold some amount of control over you, if you believe you're not strong enough to handle rejection.
Can you handle rejection?
Yes. I was rejected by many people over the course of my life, and I already accepted that part of it. I don't want to be loved or respected by everyone.
But you still want to be loved and respected by someone?
I don't need acceptance, but I don't want to be alone. And in today's world you need to be accepted to not be alone.
Why you don't want to be alone?
Because I think it's an important part of life and I'm afraid I'm going to die without ever experiencing it. If we only have one chance at life, I'd like to be able to experience things that are important to me.
So why aren't you actively looking for someone?
I don't believe I'm worthy of that. Like I mentioned, in order to not be alone, you need to be accepted. And in order to be accepted, you need to provide value to the relationship. Nobody wants to be with a person without a job, without financial stability, suffering from anxiety and depression, with a person who spends his time playing games and choking his chicken to hentai. People like that are considered failures in the eyes of society, and one single individual like me won't ever change that.
And yet you were into relationships already. How did that happen?
If we could even call it that way. Besides, I was a different person at the time. I was younger, and I was at least still doing something towards my goals. Back then I just made the appearance that I am capable of doing something more with my life. People didn't fall in love with me. They got charmed by the concept of me becoming someone they could love later.
Do you honestly believe people would waste their time on a vague promise of being in a happy relationship later, instead pursuing what they want right now?
Aren't we doing it all the time? We constantly put time and effort into things that are uncertain. I still pursue an artistic career even though I'm not sure if it's a correct path for me. I hope it is, because I have a feeling it might be. It can be the same with people. It's possible to wait for someone to become a better person if we want to get together with them in the future. Maybe the same happened to me. Maybe they just believed in me and I failed.
Can you base those kinds of judgments on maybe?
Maybe I can. Maybe I can't.
Maybe you're just avoiding the thought that people value you more than you ever valued yourself.
Possibly.
Can you summarize what we talked about so far?
It seems I lack self-worth and I lost hope at some point in my life. Self-worth is easily explainable. I believe in order to be valuable as a human, I need to provide that value with my actions. Otherwise, I'm just wasting everybody's time. As for hope, maybe it left me because I was not able to provide that value throughout the years, even though I tried.
Did you ever ask others how valuable you are to them?
I know I'm valuable to my parents, but this is simply a bias. They will always respond to me in a way that avoids pain. I'm valuable not because of who I really am, but because I'm their son. I asked them how they define a valuable person. They said a person needs to be hardworking, honest and sociable. Out of all those things, I'm only honest. So only 1/3 of my existence appears to be valuable to them. I know it's not that simple, but I'm going off of what they mentioned, which in this case seems to be enough.
Do you think it's possible to quantify those things?
I just did, so I guess it is possible.
Let's test it. Rate your appearance on a scale of 10.
5 out of 10. I wouldn't say I'm ugly, but I'm far from being handsome. I need to fix some of my body parts to gain a few points. Some gains in fixing my teeth, for example.
How would you rate your income?
1 out of 10. I'm not even able to support myself with what I earn by drawing commissions, much less others.
What about your relationships?
4 out of 10. If not for my family members, I would most likely end up completely alone. I maintain occasional contacts with a few people, some that are outside my immediate orbit, and I only talk with them through the internet.
Your achievements? No, I don't mean your Steam account, but actual real-life accomplishments.
2 out of 10. I'm only giving myself 2 points because of Shadow of the Colossus fan art book that I managed to be a part of. This book is still my biggest achievement so far, even if it feels irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. I don't think I ever achieved anything else that's actually meaningful.
So your overall score falls somewhere around 3 out of 10.
Seems about right, yeah.
Do you think other people would agree with that score?
Probably not. Or would they? I actually can't tell. They would probably bump the score just slightly to avoid a discussion.
This is nonsense. If you're going this route, do you realize that every person would rate you differently? People are way too complicated to be placed in some arbitrary boxes that define them for the rest of their lives. One person will give you a 1, another will give you an 8. At the end of the day, those numbers don't mean anything. Life isn't a math problem with a single solution. Life is a constant flow of numbers and possibilities that change depending on your circumstances, on your environment, on your behavior and behavior of others. Not to mention random events that can drastically change the outcome of any situation in any given moment.
Okay, I get it. Quantifying personal value is meaningless.
So if you cannot quantify personal value, what does it mean?
It means I don't have any control over how others see me. If the numbers are different for every person, it means I'm only responsible for my own view about myself. I can only do things, but I'll never be able to change any numbers to my advantage, because the numbers aren't set in stone.
There are no numbers.
Wait, wasn't it there is no spoon?
I know you're afraid of making wrong decisions in life. How do you define a correct decision and a wrong decision?
I believe that a correct decision benefits you. If it benefits others too, then it's a bonus. A wrong decision is the one that brings pain.
It's relative. What about decisions that benefit you but hurt others? Is it a bad decision or a good one?
Depends if you're a selfish person. In that scenario, that would be a good decision.
What about decisions that bring pain but ultimately result in making your life better?
Well, that would be a good decision as well.
So you're contradicting yourself. Pain doesn't have anything to do with whether a decision is bad or not. It's about the outcome, not the process.
Right.
So I'm going to repeat this question again. How do you define a correct decision and a wrong decision?
Only after seeing the effects of a certain decision you can define it as correct or wrong.
So if it's impossible to immediately know whether you did something correctly or not, how do you know which actions you should take?
Act accordingly to your own internal compass and values. If you believe something is important, then follow that.
Even if someone values crime?
I guess so. Okay, I know this might be a very controversial thing to say, but we don't really have the right to dictate the values of others, even if something is generally seen as inappropriate. That's also why I believe our fate isn't exclusively determined by us, but also by people around us, and it happens constantly all the time, and most of us don't even realize it's happening. We might think we've made a good decision by helping someone in an alley, but if it turns out it was a bait, and in reality the victim is a murderer, our life in that singular moment depends on their actions. If they decide to stab us, it's over. It's a pretty exaggerated example, but that same principle applies to common social interactions between friends, family members, co-workers. The course of our life changes depending on many factors that exist alongside our own choices. We can steer our ship in a direction we want, but if there is a strong enough storm, we will crash, because we just cannot control weather. The same way we cannot control other people. We can influence them, and they can influence us, but ultimately the outcome is a result of multiple events, opinions, purposeful actions, and accidents that don't always make sense.
In other words, life is unpredictable.
Yes.
So you cannot truly make an informed choice. Ever.
I guess not.
How do you plan on helping yourself?
I'd really like to know the answer to this question. I don't even know if I can help myself. I genuinely believe this self-interview was very helpful because I managed to put some things into perspective, but I still feel like it's not enough.
Go on, we're near the end, I'm listening.
We've managed to clarify some things, so I'm gonna repeat them now. Meaning might not exist. It's something we tell ourselves is real because in a way it solidifies our own existence. At some point I've lost hope and now I don't believe I'm strong enough to handle life, but I struggle to find the source of that hopelessness. It's probably a result of my view on how society works and how people with certain personality traits are valued more than others, and the amount of control other people have over us. Decision about ending my own life is pointless, because it was never my choice to begin with. I am still too intrigued about life to want to hasten the inevitable. I don't believe I'm worthy enough to be with anyone. A relationship is a constant exchange of values between two people, like security, financial stability, good fucking. People look for partners because of their own missing puzzles. Love is not our birthright. It's a privilege you have to pay for. At the same time, I'm only responsible for how I view myself. Quantifying personal value into an objective number that can be shared with others is impossible due to complexities of human interactions. It's impossible to know whether a choice you've made is correct or wrong, because the outcomes are not always immediate. World works in a chaotic manner. The effects of our actions depend not only on what we do, but on when we do it, how we do it, and on if or how other people react to it.
Those are your conclusions. What about the solution?
I can only think of one.
I'm thinking the same. Abandon reason. Embrace chaos. Experience the unknown. Surrender.